I never thought I'd say this out loud, but here I am, 62 years old, retired nurse. Widowed for 7 years, and my daughter-in-law just informed me that she, my son, and her entire extended family will be descending on my house for Christmas. The shocking part, she didn't ask, she told me, "We'll be there for 10 days, she said, like my home was some kind of resort waiting for them. 10 days, 10 mouths to feed. 10 people walking through the rooms my late husband and I built with our own hands." I set the phone down that night, staring at the blinking Christmas lights on my porch, and felt my chest tighten. It wasn't just the invasion of space. It was the assumption that I would cook, clean, and host, without so much as a thank you. That's when an idea hit me, so sharp, so outrageous, I almost laughed. "Perfect," I whispered into the dark. "If they think my house is a hotel, then I'll charge hotel rates." The next morning, I typed out a cheerful message in the family group chat. "Looking forward to Christmas. Since we'll have a full house this year, I've arranged everything like a proper holiday stay. Please see attached rates and check-in details." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Within seconds, my phone buzzed like a hornet's nest. My daughter-in-law Emily's message popped up first. "Is this some kind of joke?" But I didn't reply. Instead, I let them read the little rate card I had made. $75 per night, per person, including breakfast, lunch and dinner, billed separately. Wi-Fi and laundry, extra. My fingers shook as I sent it, but a part of me smiled for the first time in weeks. My son, Daniel, called me immediately. "Mom, what is this?" he asked, half laughing, half panicked. I could hear Emily in the background, her voice sharp, demanding. I took a slow breath. "Daniel, I love you, but I am not running a free-in. I'm too old for it, and it's not fair. If your wife's family wants to stay here, they'll contribute. Otherwise, they're welcome to find a real hotel." There was silence on the line. Then, faintly, I heard Emily say, "She can't be serious." My lips curled. "Oh, I'm very serious." What none of them knew was that I had already booked myself a secret escape, a small cabin 2 towns over. Paid in full, with a fireplace and peace I hadn't felt in years. If they refused my hotel rates, they'd show up to an empty house. If they paid, well, I'd enjoy watching them squirm when they realized Christmas came with a bill. Either way, this year would be different. Before I continue, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you love true family tales like this. You won't believe the twists still to come. The following evening, I received a private message from Emily's cousin, Sophie, who had always been the quieter one. "Honestly, I'd rather pay than spend 10 days in your house pretending everything's fine," she wrote. My eyebrows shot up. Pretending? What exactly did she mean by that? And why did her words sound like a warning? The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Emily had clearly rallied her troops, because I woke up to a flood of messages in the group chat. Her mother Linda had typed in all caps, "This is insulting. We are family, not strangers." Her brother chimed in, "What kind of grandmother charges her own family?" I scrolled through the chaos, my coffee warming in my hands, and I couldn't help but chuckle. They weren't denying they were coming. They weren't asking politely. They were outraged that I dared put a price tag on my time, my energy, my home. Then Daniel called again. His voice was tired, softer this time. "Mom, you know this is going to cause drama. Can't you just let it go?" Emily's family, they expect I cut him off before he could finish. That's the problem, Daniel. They expect. They don't ask. They don't help. They don't thank me. I spent years taking care of this family, and I won't be treated like the unpaid maid anymore. For a moment, he said nothing. Then, almost under his breath, he whispered, "I don't disagree with you." My heart jolted. What did that mean? That night, Emily herself called. Her voice was sugar-coated but sharp underneath. "Look, we'll be there regardless. If you want to ruin Christmas by being difficult, then go ahead, but don't expect Daniel to take your side when everyone sees how cold you've become." Her words cut deep, but before I could respond, she slipped in something strange. "Besides, it's not like we don't already know what you're hiding." I froze. "What do you mean, Emily?" I asked, my pulse racing. She laughed softly, a bitter laugh. "Oh, come on. You think secrets stay buried forever?" And then she hung up. I sat there in the quiet house, Christmas lights blinking across the lawn, my mind replaying her words over and over. What secret was she talking about? My husband had been gone 7 years. The only thing I could think of was the envelope he left me in the study, the one I had never opened fully. just tucked away at the back of the desk. Was it possible Emily had seen it once during her many helpful visits? The following day, while the storm of messages continued in the group chat, I pulled out the envelope. My husband's handwriting stared back at me. My hands trembled as I unfolded the letter. His words were short, almost rushed. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. There is something you should know about the cabin and why I never sold it. If anyone asks about it, deny everything until you see the papers in the safe deposit box. Trust no one, not even family. My breath caught. The cabin I had booked my Christmas escape in was the same one he had mentioned, the same one he had left under mysterious circumstances. And Emily somehow knew about it. My heart pounded as I put the letter back into the envelope. Later that evening, a message pinged on my phone. It wasn't from Daniel, or Emily, or Linda. It was from an unknown number. The text said, "Be careful who you charge. Some of us are already paying in ways you don't know." I stared at the screen, chills running down my arms. Someone in Emily's family wasn't just angry about the hotel rates, they were warning me, or was it a threat? The snow had started to fall when the first car pulled into my driveway, 3 days before Christmas. I hadn't agreed, I hadn't answered their messages. Yet there they were, Emily stepping out in her red coat, her parents behind her, Daniel carrying bags he looked too tired to lift. Through the frosted window, I watched them march toward my porch as if nothing had happened, as if my house really was theirs to invade. My chest tightened, but I stayed still. I had a plan. I opened the door with a calm smile. "Welcome," I said, my voice steady. Emily gave me a once-over, her lips curled. "So are we checking in, or do we just leave our bags in the rooms?" Her mother laughed loudly at her own sarcasm, but Daniel didn't. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I took a slow breath. "Check-in is at the kitchen table. Rates are printed out for you." I stepped aside and let them in. The room grew heavy as they read the papers I had laid neatly by the coffee pot. Emily's father slammed his hand on the table. "This is ridiculous. You think you can charge us like strangers?" My smile didn't falter. "If you want to stay, you contribute. If not, there's a motel right down the road." Silence. The sound of the heater humming filled the space until Sophie, the quiet cousin, cleared her throat. "I'll pay," she whispered. Everyone turned to her, shocked. She fidgeted with her hands. "It's only fair. We shouldn't expect her to do all of this for free." Emily's eyes darkened. "You don't speak for us." But Sophie's words had cracked. Something open. For the first time, Daniel spoke firmly. "Actually, she's right. Mom deserves better." His voice carried a strength I hadn't heard in years. The tension exploded. Emily hissed, "Unbelievable. You're siding with her. After everything she's done." I leaned forward, my heart pounding. "And what exactly have I done, Emily?" I asked softly. She froze, lips pressed tight. The secret she had teased me with hung in the air like smoke. Before anyone could answer, Sophie's phone buzzed. She glanced down and went pale. "We need to talk," she said, her voice trembling. "All of us." She handed me the phone. A message glowed on the screen from that same unknown number. "She doesn't just want Christmas. She wants what was left behind. Ask her about the cabin." The room erupted with questions. Emily lunged forward to snatch the phone, but Daniel blocked her. My throat tightened. My husband's warning echoed in my head. "Trust no one, not even family." I steadied my voice. "If you want the truth, you'll get it. But be prepared. It may not be the story you think you know." The room went quiet, but it wasn't peace. It was the kind of silence that feels like a storm waiting to break. Emily crossed her arms, her jaw clenched so tight I thought her teeth might crack. Daniel stood behind her, his eyes darting between me and the letter still half tucked into my apron pocket. Sophie shifted uneasily, her fingers twisting the hem of her sweater. I sat down slowly at the table and placed the old envelope in front of me. The paper was yellowed, fragile, but the weight of it seemed heavier than bricks. "This," I said softly, "is the reason I'm not bending to anyone's demands this year. Your father left me something. Something none of you know about." Emily let out a sharp laugh. "Oh please. You're just making this up because you're bitter. Charging us rent, inventing secrets, what's next? That dad had some fortune hidden away." Her voice was mocking, but her hands trembled on the edge of the table. She already knew. That much was clear. Daniel's eyes flickered. "Mom, is that true?" I unfolded the letter, my hands trembling. "Your father left instructions about the cabin. He said there was a safe deposit box, that I wasn't to trust anyone until I saw what was inside. I haven't opened it yet, but somehow I turned my gaze directly to Emily. You already know, don't you? Her face hardened, the smile slipping. Maybe I do. Maybe I've known more than you think. Do you really want to open that box, Margaret? Because once you do, everything you thought you knew about your perfect little marriage might fall apart. The words hit like a slap. My heart lurched, not because of what she said, but because of the way she said it, too confident, too rehearsed. She wasn't bluffing. She had seen something. Sophie suddenly spoke, her voice low but urgent. Emily, stop. They have a right to know. All eyes snapped to her. She swallowed hard, glancing at me. Last summer, when you were at the doctor's, Emily asked me to go with her to the cabin. She said she wanted to clean things up before you started renting it. But when we got there, she wasn't cleaning. She was searching. She pulled up floorboards, tore through drawers. I begged her to stop, but she said she was looking for proof. Proof of what? Daniel demanded, his face red. Emily's voice cracked for the first time. Proof that your father wasn't the saint she always makes him out to be. She slammed her hand on the table, tears in her eyes now. I found a second letter, hidden in a drawer. And you know what it said? That he had debts. That the cabin wasn't just a place for family holidays. It was collateral. He owed money, and he kept it from all of you. If she gets that safe deposit box, she's not inheriting some treasure, she's inheriting his lies. The room spun, my chest ached, but I forced myself to breathe. You're lying, I whispered. Emily's lips curled. Am I? Or are you just too afraid to admit that maybe he wasn't perfect? That maybe you're not the victim here, but the fool? Daniel exploded then, slamming his fist on the table. Enough. His voice boomed through the house, shaking even me. He turned to Emily, his face inches from hers. You went behind my back. You dragged your cousin into this. And now you're trying to humiliate my mother at Christmas. What the hell is wrong with you? Emily flinched but didn't back down. I did it for us, Daniel. For our family. Don't you get it? She's hiding things that belong to us, too. I closed my eyes for a moment. The letter in my hand felt like it was burning me. The truth was tangled now, and I didn't know whose story to believe. But one thing was certain. I couldn't keep this secret locked away anymore. I stood up slowly, my voice trembling but firm. If you want answers, we'll get them. Together. Tomorrow morning, we're going to the bank. And when that box opens, we'll all see the truth with our own eyes. The room erupted with whispers and protests, but I didn't flinch. My heart raced with both fear and determination. Whatever was in that box, it was about to change everything. And as I looked across the table, I caught Sophie's expression. She wasn't relieved. She wasn't hopeful. She looked terrified. The next morning, the cold cut sharper than usual. I barely slept, and when I did, dreams of my husband's voice kept waking me, warning me to tread carefully. By the time Daniel pulled the car around, my stomach was knotted so tight I could hardly breathe. Emily insisted on coming too, of course, her coat pulled tight around her, eyes glittering with something between triumph and fear. Sophie sat in the back seat, quiet as a shadow, and I couldn't shake the feeling that she knew more than she'd said. The bank was silent when we walked in, the kind of silence that feels heavy, as if walls themselves are listening. The manager recognized me and led us into a private room. He placed a small metal box on the table, slid a key toward me, and said softly, "Whenever you're ready, Mrs. Carter." My hands shook as I turned the key. The lid creaked open, and inside were neatly stacked papers and a small velvet pouch. Emily leaned forward so fast Daniel had to put an arm out to stop her. "Wait," he snapped. "She opens it, not you." I picked up the top folder. My breath caught. It was a deed, but not for the cabin. It was for 3 adjoining plots of land near the cabin, worth far more than I ever imagined. My husband had bought them quietly, years ago. Beneath the deed were letters, not to me, but to someone else. I scanned the first one, my blood running cold. "If anything happens, make sure Margaret never finds out. This land is not clean. I did what I had to do for the family, but she can't know." I dropped the letter as if it had burned me. Emily snatched it up, her smile sharp. "See, I told you. He lied to you. He lied to all of us." But then Daniel pulled another paper from the bottom of the box. His face went pale. "Emily, you might want to stop talking." He handed it to me. It was a notarized letter from my husband's lawyer. All property, including the cabin and adjoining land, is to be transferred solely to my wife, Margaret Carter. No other claims shall be honored. Emily's face twisted. No, that's not possible. He wouldn't. She turned on me, eyes blazing. You knew about this. You've been playing the victim while hoarding everything for yourself. Tears stung my eyes, but I kept my voice steady. I didn't know. Not until today. And whether you like it or not, it's mine. All of it. Sophie suddenly spoke, her voice breaking. That's not the worst of it. We all turned. She was trembling, her phone in her hand. Emily showed me another letter when we went to the cabin. She never told you because she wanted to use it against you. It wasn't about debts. It was about someone else. She held the phone out to me. A picture of a crumpled note on the screen. The land was never meant to be sold. It belonged to her. She doesn't know the truth about her real family. The room spun. My knees weakened. Her, who is he talking about? I whispered. Sophie's eyes filled with tears. You, Margaret. He was talking about you. Emily lunged forward, snatching the phone. Enough, Sophie, she snapped. But it was too late. The truth had already been spoken. Daniel stared at me, his voice hoarse. Mom, what does that mean? What did Dad keep from us? I gripped the edge of the table, my heart pounding in my ears. The walls of the bank felt like they were closing in. Whatever this secret was, it wasn't just about money. It was about who I really was. And then, before I could answer, the door to the room creaked open. A man in a dark suit stepped inside. His voice was calm, but his eyes were piercing. Mrs. Carter, we need to talk. About the land, about your husband, and about the name Sterling. Would you like me to finish the last section with the full shocking reveal and ending? The man closed the door behind him, and the sound of the lock clicking echoed in the small room like a gunshot. Emily stiffened in her chair. Daniel's arm went instinctively in front of me, and Sophie lowered her eyes as if she'd already expected this moment. He placed a leather briefcase on the table, unlatched it, and slid a thin file toward me. Your husband trusted me with this years ago. He knew one day the truth would surface. The land you found wasn't ordinary property. It was once part of the Sterling estate. My chest tightened. Sterling? He nodded. Harold James Sterling. Oil money, power, secrets that reached into every corner of this state. Your husband was caught in the middle. He wasn't just buying land, he was protecting you. The room tilted. Protecting me? From what? The man's eyes softened. From the truth of your birth, Margaret. You're not who you think you are. The land belonged to your mother before it was stolen by the Sterlings. Your husband knew. He kept it quiet because he feared what people like them would do if they realized the rightful heir was living quietly as a nurse in Austin. I couldn't breathe. My hands clutched the edge of the table as Daniel whispered, Mom. Oh my God. Emily's face twisted with disbelief. No, this is insane. If that were true, why would he hide it from her? Why not tell her? The man leaned closer. Because Harold Sterling had other children. Powerful, ruthless ones. And your husband feared they'd destroy her if they knew she had a claim. He thought silence was protection. The world spun around me. Memories of my husband's late nights, the things he never explained. The cabin he guarded like a fortress, they all clicked into place. He hadn't betrayed me. He had been shielding me. Emily shoved back her chair, fury blazing in her eyes. So what? She's suddenly royalty now. She thinks she can charge us hotel rates, take all the property, and now pretend she's some lost heiress. This changes nothing. Nothing. Her voice cracked at the end, and in that crack, I saw the truth. She had known pieces of this all along. She had hoped to twist them into power for herself. I stood slowly, my legs trembling but steadying with each word. It changes everything, Emily, because I spent years being treated like I was nothing more than a roof and a hot meal. But now I know, I was never the guest in this family. You were. The man closed the file and slid it back into his briefcase. The choice is yours, Mrs. Carter. You can pursue the claim, or you can walk away. But make no mistake, you are the rightful heir. Daniel gripped my hand, his voice shaking. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Emily's face went pale, her defiance finally cracking. She looked around the room, realizing she was alone in her rage. Sophie wouldn't meet her eyes. Daniel had chosen me, and the stranger had confirmed the one thing she feared most. The power she tried to steal was never hers to take. I turned to her, calm and cold. You wanted a free Christmas, Emily. You wanted me to play hostess while you mocked me in my own home. Well, This year the tables have turned. If you want a room under my roof, you'll pay the rate. If not, the door is wide open." Her mouth opened, but no sound came. She grabbed her coat and stormed out, her heels clicking like gunfire down the marble floor. Silence filled the room after she left. For the first time in years, it was a silence that felt like victory. When we returned home that night, the Christmas lights glowed brighter than ever. Daniel hugged me long and hard. Sophie whispered a thank you, and I sat in my chair by the fire with the envelope in my lap. My husband's words rang in my ears. Trust no one, not even family. But as I looked at my son, finally standing beside me, and the truth that had set me free, I realized something. I didn't need to trust everyone. I just needed to trust myself. And when the door creaked open later that night, the sound no longer filled me with dread. It filled me with power, because whoever stood on the other side wasn't walking into the home of a woman they could use. They were walking into the house of the woman who had just taken back everything, and that was the Christmas they thought they could take everything from me, but instead, I took back my voice, my power, and my home. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were in my place?